Hands up. Step out of the vehicle.
Officer, we are taking him to the hospital.
I can't breathe. Don't move. Stop reaching. Don't move. Stop reaching. Please, I'm serious. I can't breathe.
Plastic tubes, oxygen mask, gray hospital band on a skeletal wrist, rural roadside. Tuesday morning, spring sun cutting through the fog. Everything stops in 40 seconds. 96 hours later, the body cam footage leaks. Internal Affairs opens a criminal investigation, and the rookie who pulled that trigger faces 15 years in a state prison. The man in the passenger's seat, stage 4 lung cancer, 68 years old, fighting for 6 more months with his grandchildren. Every second recorded on dashcam and bodycam both. Before we go further, let me ask you something. Have you ever been punished for trying to breathe? Drop your answer below. Hit subscribe right now because what that body camera captured that morning, what the rookie cop's own audio recorded, what made a federal judge say the words, "You saw a weapon where there was only suffering." That's coming next. And it gets worse before it gets better. Hector Case, 68 years old, stage 4 non-small cell lung cancer, terminal diagnosis, 6 to 9 months if the chemotherapy works. Former construction foreman, 40 years pouring concrete in the Arizona heat, 2 daughters, 5 grandchildren. The kind of man who never missed a day of work until his body gave him no choice. That chemotherapy appointment on Tuesday morning? 4th cycle. It's the only thing keeping him alive. Miss it, and the cancer wins faster. His daughter Sarah is driving. She's 34, single mother, took the day off work she can't afford to lose because her father can't drive himself anymore. The oxygen tank sits between his feet, 2 liters per minute. The clear plastic tubing runs up his chest to the mask across his face. He breathes like he's drowning on dry land. That mask slips every 10 minutes. It's too big. The hospital gave him the wrong size 3 weeks ago. He keeps adjusting it because if it slips off completely, he panics. Can't get air. Starts coughing. The coughing triggers the chest pain. The chest pain triggers the fear. And the fear makes everything worse. Now let's talk about Officer Sean Griffey. 22 years old. 3 weeks out of the academy. 3 weeks on solo patrol. His training officer signed off on him 2 days before this happened. His file looks clean on paper. The reality? 0 experience with medical emergencies. 0 de-escalation training beyond the academy PowerPoint. 600 hours of firearms drills. 40 hours of crisis intervention. And a mindset drilled into him for 6 months straight. Every hand you can't see is a hand reaching for a gun. Hesitation kills. Better judged by 12 than carried by 6. That morning, 9:17 a.m. County Road 18, 2 miles from the cancer center. Sarah changes lanes without signaling. She's late. Hector's appointment is at 9:30. If they miss it, they reschedule for next week. Next week might be too late. She doesn't see the patrol car 2 vehicles back. Doesn't see the lights until they're right behind her. Should a rookie officer fresh out of the academy be allowed to patrol alone with no supervision in high-stress situations? Comment yes or no, because what happens next turns on that question. Griffey hits the lights. Sarah pulls over, hands shaking. Hector is coughing into the mask, eyes closed, concentrating on breathing. The stress is dropping his oxygen saturation. The monitor on his finger reads 88%. Normal is 95 or higher. At 85%, he passes out. Griffey approaches the passenger side, hand already on his holster. Sees the oxygen tank. Sees the tubes. Sees an old man slumped forward. And in his mind, 3 weeks of training, 0 real-world experience. It doesn't add up. Old man. Medical equipment. Tinted windows. High crime area designation on the county map. Decides right there something's wrong. He knocks on the window. Hard. 3 times. Sarah rolls it down, already talking. "Officer, I'm so sorry. I know I didn't signal. We're late for his chemo appointment. He has stage 4 lung cancer. Please." Griffey doesn't hear her. Auditory exclusion. His academy instructor warned him about it. When adrenaline spikes, you stop processing words. You only hear threats. His eyes lock on Hector. "Sir, I need you to show me your hands." Hector's mask slips. Falls below his nose. He can't breathe. His left hand, instinct, survival, reaches up to adjust it. The same motion he's made 10,000 times in the last 6 weeks. Griffey sees the hand move toward the chest. Sees something metallic. The oxygen regulator. Chrome. Cylindrical. Catches the sunlight. And his training takes over. Gun. 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 The taser comes up. Red laser dancing across Hector's chest. Right over the pocket where his military ID would be if he were the kind of man who'd ever served. If he were anyone other than a dying construction worker, trying to make it to his 4th round of poison that might buy him Christmas with his grandchildren. Sarah's scream cuts through everything. It's oxygen. He has cancer. Body cam audio captures it. Timestamp 9 hours 19 minutes and 34 seconds. Her voice cracks on the word cancer. Desperation turning it into something animal, something primal. She screams it again. 9 hours 19 minutes and 35 seconds. Louder. Her hand reaches across the center console toward her father, toward the officer, toward anything that might stop what's about to happen. She screams it a 3rd time. 9 hours 19 minutes and 36 seconds. Griffey's finger is already squeezing. 3 seconds. That's all the time between her first warning and the discharge. 3 seconds that will cost him 15 years. 3 seconds that prosecutors will replay in court at quarter speed while a jury watches a daughter beg for her father's life. The electrical crackle splits the morning air. 2 metal probes eject from the cartridge, trailing thin copper wires behind them like mechanical spider's silk. They travel 17 feet in 0.4 seconds. Both barbs punch through the thin cotton of Hector's shirt. One catches him just below the collarbone. The other penetrates 2 inches above his navel. 50,000 volts pulse through his body. 5 seconds. Standard deployment duration. Hector's back arches violently against the seat. His mouth opens, but no sound comes out. The oxygen mask rips free, tubing whipping across the dashboard. His hands clench into rigid claws. Every muscle in his body contracts simultaneously. The seizure isn't like the movies. There's no dramatic thrashing. Just terrible, mechanical rigidity. His eyes roll back. White. Just white. The electrical current stops. Hector slumps forward against the seatbelt. Completely still. The only sound is Sarah screaming and the digital voice recorder in Griffey's body cam capturing every millisecond for posterity. He isn't breathing. Griffey stands there, taser still extended, red dot still on target, breathing hard through his nose like he just finished a sprint. His training says secure the suspect. His training says maintain distance until backup arrives. His training says watch the hands. He takes 3 steps forward. Weapon transitions to his right hand. Left hand reaches for the door handle. Standard felony stop procedure. Open the door, step back, create distance, issue commands. The door swings open, and he sees it. Clear plastic tubing coiled across Hector's lap, like discarded 4 lines in a hospital room. The oxygen tank wedged between the passenger seat and the center console, green medical label facing up, flow regulator attached to the top. That's what caught the light. Not a gun, not a knife, not a weapon. A piece of medical equipment keeping a dying man alive for 6 more months if God and chemotherapy cooperate. The mask dangles from the tubing, swinging slightly with the door's momentum. Hector's hospital wristband is visible now. White paper with colored hearts and teddy bears printed along the edge. Patient name, date of birth, attending physician. The kind of band they put on you when you're sick enough that they need to track you, when you're vulnerable enough that identification matters because you might not be able to speak for yourself. Griffey's mouth opens. Nothing comes out. His hand, the one not holding the taser, reaches toward Hector, then pulls back. He takes a step backward. Then another. Oh God, no. Sarah is already moving. Seatbelt off, scrambling across the center console, hands on her father's shoulders. Dad. She shakes him. His head lolls forward, chin against chest. She puts her fingers to his neck, searching for a pulse the way she learned in a CPR class she took 7 years ago when her youngest was born. Nothing. She rips the seatbelt off him and hauls him back against the seat. Tilts his head, opens his airway, puts her ear to his mouth. No breath. She starts compressions, right there in the driver's seat, both hands stacked on his sternum, arms locked straight, pressing down hard enough to crack ribs if she's not careful, hard enough to restart a heart if she's lucky. Call an ambulance. She screams it between compressions, doesn't look at Griffey, eyes locked on her father's face. Call a fucking ambulance. 15 compressions. She stops, gives 2 rescue breaths, mouth to mouth, her father's lips cold against hers. Griffey still hasn't moved. The taser hangs at his side, wires still connected to Hector's chest. His radio is clipped to his shoulder. He could call for help. He could assist. He could do something. He stands there frozen, watching a daughter fight to save the man he just killed. The second patrol car comes in fast. No siren, just lights cutting blue and red patterns across the asphalt. Sergeant David Miller, 19 years on the job, 47 years old, seen everything twice. He pulls up behind Griffey's unit and he already knows something's wrong because Griffey isn't moving, isn't talking into his radio, isn't doing anything except standing there like a statue while a woman screams. Miller's out of his car before it's fully stopped. Combat boots hit pavement. He takes in the scene in 2 seconds. Taser wires trailing from Griffey's hand into the open car door. Woman doing compressions. Old man slumped in the driver's seat. Oxygen tank. Medical equipment. No weapon visible. What happened? Miller's voice cuts through Sarah's screaming. Griffey doesn't answer. Miller moves past him, looks into the car, sees Hector's face, gray-blue, lips turning purple, and he's already reaching for his radio. Dispatch, 724, I need advanced life support to my location immediately. Cardiac arrest, male approximately 70 years old, taser deployment, start them now. He doesn't wait for confirmation. Drops the radio, puts his hand on Sarah's shoulder. Ma'am, I'm trained. Let me help. She doesn't stop. Won't stop. Miller gently but firmly pulls her back. I've got him. I've got him. He slides into position, one knee on the driver's seat, gets his hands on Hector's chest, and starts compressions. Professional. Measured. 30 compressions, 2 breaths. He's done this before. Too many times. Griffey finally speaks. Voice hollow. He reached for something. I thought. Not now. Miller doesn't look up. Keeps counting compressions in his head. 15. 16. 17. He can feel ribs flexing under his palms. Can feel how fragile this man is. How his chest compresses too easily, like there's nothing left inside to protect. Between compression cycles, Miller's eyes track to the oxygen tank. The tubing. The hospital wristband. The cancer center appointment card stuck to the dashboard with the time circled in red marker. 9:30 a.m. He stops compressions. Checks for a pulse. Nothing. Starts again. 30 more. 2 breaths. Ambulance is 4 minutes out. Dispatch crackles through his radio. Miller keeps working. Sweat beading on his forehead now. The physical exertion, the adrenaline, the sick feeling growing in his stomach as he puts together what happened here. 30 compressions. 2 breaths. Check for pulse. Nothing. Sarah is crying. Not screaming anymore. Just crying. Hands over her mouth, watching this stranger fight for her father's life, while the officer who stopped them stands 10 feet away doing nothing. Miller pauses. Looks at the oxygen tank again. The metal regulator still attached, chrome surface catching the morning light. Looks at Griffey. Really looks at him. Sees a kid, not a cop. Sees someone who just made the worst mistake of his life. What did you do? Miller's voice is quiet. Dangerous quiet. He's an old man. What did you do? Griffey's lips move. No sound comes out. Miller goes back to compressions. Doesn't wait for an answer he already knows. The ambulance arrives. Paramedics take over. They get a pulse back after 6 minutes of CPR and 2 shocks from the defibrillator. Hector Case survives the roadside. Barely. He spends 11 days in intensive care with a heart that will never fully recover, hooked to machines that breathe for him, while his daughter sits in a plastic chair and watches him sleep. Griffey is arrested 27 hours later. Not at home. At the station. Internal Affairs walks him out in handcuffs while the local news cameras record every step. The department doesn't wait for public pressure. They don't wait for protests. They release the body cam footage the same afternoon, unedited, for minutes and 18 seconds of everything. The approach, the screaming, the discharge, the silence after. The city doesn't burn. It comes close. Aggravated battery. Reckless conduct. 2 felony charges carrying a maximum of 20 years combined. The prosecutor is a woman named Jennifer Ortiz, 15 years in the DA's office, who has watched too many cases like this end in settlements and apologies. Not this time. The trial lasts 8 days. Griffey sits at the defense table in a suit that doesn't fit right, looking younger than 22, looking like someone's kid brother who made a terrible mistake. His attorney, Marcus Webb, public defender, overworked and underpaid, does his best with what he has. Split-second decision. Webb tells the jury during opening statements. Officer Griffey had less than 3 seconds to evaluate a threat. 3 seconds. That's not negligence. That's human reaction time under extreme stress. Day 4, the prosecution plays the body cam audio. The courtroom has professional speakers. Better than the laptop the jury watched the video on. Sarah's voice fills the room. Clear. Desperate. Unmistakable. It's oxygen. He has cancer. Timestamp appears on the screen. 9 hours 19 minutes and 34 seconds. She screams it again. 9 hours 19 minutes and 35 seconds. A third time. 9 hours 19 minutes and 36 seconds. The electrical discharge at 9 hours 19 minutes and 37 seconds. Ortiz lets the silence sit for 5 full seconds after the audio stops. Then she replays it. Same 3 seconds. Sarah's voice even louder the second time. When it ends, she turns to the jury. 3 warnings. 3 chances to stop. 3 seconds where Officer Griffey chose not to listen. Hector doesn't attend the trial. Too weak. The chemotherapy he missed that Tuesday set him back 3 weeks. The cardiac arrest damaged his heart permanently. His oncologist estimates he has 4 months left now instead of 9. The taser didn't just hurt him. It stole time he doesn't have. His deposition is read aloud by the court clerk on day 6. Hector's words in a stranger's voice. I wasn't reaching for a weapon. I wasn't reaching for anything threatening. My oxygen mask slipped off my face, and I couldn't breathe. I was reaching for air. That's all. Just air. The same thing every person in this courtroom is doing right now without thinking about it. I reached for air, and he shot me for it. The jury deliberates for 4 hours. Guilty on both counts. Sentencing happens 3 weeks later. Judge Patricia Holden, 62 years old, federal bench for 18 years, presiding. She doesn't use notes. Doesn't need them. She watched the body cam footage 7 times during the trial. She knows every frame. Griffey stands when she enters. His mother is in the gallery, crying quietly. Hector Case is there too, sitting 3 rows behind the prosecution table, wearing the same black dress she wore to her father's last chemotherapy appointment before he became too sick to continue treatment. Judge Holden looks at Griffey for a long moment before she speaks. Mr. Griffey, you were entrusted with a badge and a weapon and the authority to use force when necessary. That trust requires judgment. It requires restraint. It requires the ability to distinguish between a threat and a tragedy. You failed on all counts. You saw an elderly man struggling to breathe, and you saw danger. You heard a daughter screaming that her father had cancer, and you heard nothing. That is not a mistake. That is gross negligence. That is a lack of basic humanity. She pauses. The courtroom is completely silent. 15 years. State Correctional Facility. Eligible for parole after serving 85%. Griffey's mother sobs. His attorney closes his folder. Hector Case doesn't react. Just stares straight ahead. The civil case settles 4 months later. The city doesn't fight it. Can't fight it. The footage makes a trial impossible. $22 million. The largest excessive force settlement in the county's history. The check is presented in a conference room with no cameras, no reporters, just lawyers and signatures, and Sarah accepting money that can't buy back what was taken. Hector Case dies 7 weeks after the settlement. Not from the taser. Not from the cardiac arrest. From the cancer that was always going to kill him. But he dies 4 months earlier than he should have. 4 months stolen by a rookie cop who saw a weapon where there was only suffering. The last photograph of him shows a different man than the one gasping in that car. Thinner, grayer, but smiling. He's in his living room, afternoon light coming through the window, holding his youngest grandchild. 3 years old. She's laughing at something off camera. He's looking at her like she's the only thing in the world that matters. Because in that moment, she is. Sean Griffey is processed into Green River Correctional Facility on a Tuesday morning. Same day of the week, he tossed Hector Case. The intake photo shows a young man with hollow eyes staring at nothing. Inmate number 884-7239. Projected release date, September 2039. He'll be 37 years old. The question remains, was it poor training? A system that puts rookies on the street alone after 3 weeks? An academy that teaches officers to see threats everywhere and humanity nowhere? Or was it just a bad cop who made a choice and destroyed 2 lives in 3 seconds? If stories like this matter to you, hit subscribe right now. We're exposing these cases every single week. And the only way the system changes is if enough people refuse to look away. Drop a comment. Does a system need more change, or was this case enough? And if you know someone who needs to see this, share it because justice only works when we're all paying attention.